I'm Roland McDevitt. I'm the paddlecraft coordinator for District 5 South. And this is the third in our series of AUXPAD Zoom sessions. This week, Joey Toogooding is going to be talking about preparing for AUXPAD operator training, or as he likes to call it, the AUXPAD academies. And I'm going to turn it over to Joey.
All right. Thank you, Roland. Good evening, everyone. Appreciate your time. Appreciate you being here. If you don't mind muting yourself for now, that'd be great. Any questions? Roland and I will be monitoring the chat along the way, and we'll hold on to those questions. But we'll also be taking some breaks in between the slides that are presented and going over some of the questions and concerns that you may have at that point. As Roland said, you've met this guy many times. Roland's on the left. Yours truly is on the right here. And let's proceed. You're all here. You're all aware of what you're here for is the AUXPAD Training Academy. That's what I like to call it. That are coming up. You're either going to be attending the June 3rd, 5th, June 10th, 12th, or 24th, 26th with yours truly. There's Roland right there. Ron Price, Wendy, and myself. This was a few years back. Was we were doing up in Galesville, I believe. Here we are, the Fantastic Four, Fabulous Four again, different areas that will be having the academy. You're free to join any one of those that you may. Actually, I will be attending all three. I think there's a few of us from 2501 and 2506 that will be attending. So what do we got? So the academy, the AUXPAD operator afloat training for a longer term, 3 days of fun. We'll be doing some things Friday, Saturday, and Sunday on shore, and some things afloat. And tonight we're going to basically talk about the things that you see in the lower left-hand corner. What do you need to do to prepare? What do you need to have? What do you need to do? What do you need to know? First off, let's start off with what do you need to have? When I showed this slide to someone, it scared them because I had that word growth mindset and paperwork and equipment. But what the heck is a growth mindset? All it is an open mind. Just be willing to learn stuff, willing to tell if you see something that doesn't look right, willing to ask questions. Because this is 3 days of fun. If we're not having fun, then I'm not doing something right. I'm not doing something properly. This guy on the left is Charlie Chapin. I don't know if Charlie's online, but last year it was his first time out with us. And as you can see, that's him doing a self-rescue. We're walking him through it. And he's just in a position where he could float all day long, just having a grand old time. So that's the type of learning mindset, growth mindset that we're looking for. So this is what everybody loves to have. What you're going to need to have. We're going to talk about the paperwork that's required. The commandant's instruction. I hate reading stuff on the slides, but the commandant's instructions, the PQS that's involved with this. If you want to make your own personal kayak into an OpVac, then fantastic. We'll gloss over that, as well as the ACA waiver. We'll talk about that a little bit. You've been through at least 2 of these presentations, and hopefully they covered the mission, what we're looking for to do. Basically, AUXPAD is about boating safety, promoting the life jacket, and compliance with the Coast Guard. That's bottom line with the paddlecraft community. I think with the invite, Roland sent out a couple of fantastic things that we're doing with the AUXPAD. Read the little newsletter that he put out there in the blinker. And if you have any other questions about what's going on, give me a call, talk to me, because we're doing some things with the Sea Scouts. We're doing some things with vessel exams. And as I was just telling Roland earlier, as this close to doing something with Virginia Military Institute. Their 25 cadets asked me to come aboard during their, I don't know, Fleet Week, whatever they called it, and to do something with them for the day. And I couldn't put it together fast enough because I didn't have enough operators. I didn't have enough instructors. And if we had enough crew, they were going to put us up in their berthing. They were going to provide us access to their pool on their campus, as well as provide us with some rentals to go through it. So I'm stoked. Well, let's get some folks on this and let's do it. The AUXPAD Ashore program. Mike, I think you gave a fantastic presentation. Unfortunately, I could not attend it, but I'll look at the video. And I'm sure Mike covered it in detail about what the AUXPAD Ashore is all about, you know, including the vessel examinations, which is fantastic. And in the blue that you see there, part of the Commandant's instruction is that we're encouraging everyone to become an ACA paddle sports safety facilitator. That is something new, and Roland can talk a little bit about that. I can talk about that. We've just become what's called endorsed to be paddle sports safety facilitators that can certify not just auxiliaries, but we can certify members of the public. For example, I'm trying to, hopefully it'll work out. So some folks in New Jersey, there's a kayak rental place out there. I'm trying to get a group of them to become paddle sports safety facilitators on a class that I can teach. What is it, Roland? A 4-hour, 5-hour class. And we go through what it takes to become a paddle sports safety facilitator. That's something that you can do.
So it's basically like a 4-hour class of classroom or on shore, and then 1 hour on the water. And you've got a lot of flexibility in how you set this up. But there's a lot of good core content that we can share with people. And then you can really customize it to the group you're talking to. So if it's camp counselors or kayak rental staff or whatever it is, you can, you can figure out what the issues are in that environment for that group of people, and give them something that's going to help them be really tuned into safety. And I just did that with Kitty Hawk Kite's rental staff, and they were very happy with it. And these are people that have been involved in the rental side for some time, and they've never really had training. So I think it's it's great stuff. The other thing that Robin Pope mentioned in our meeting last night was that this certification is going to be for, I think it's 3 years or 4 years.
Oh, cool.
So when we teach people, they don't have to get recertified each year. So if they join the ACA and take it as an official ACA certification, they're certified for several years.
Cool, very good. Thank you, Roland. In yellow on the slide, you can actually see where I've highlighted about we encourage folks that are doing vessel inspections to become AUXPAD operator and AUXPAD qualifiers. I'm sure you brought it up last week, Mike, about the more we know, the more we can convey, the more we can talk about it, and the more we can get across. So we encourage folks to become AUXPAD operators or qualifiers. Continuing on with Commandant's instruction, we talk about the afloat program, and basically it's everything we do on shore, but we do it from our boat. We are exemplar paddlers, and that's how we show folks the proper gear, the equipment, all of those things that are involved with it. On the lower right-hand section, we talk about the facility. We talk about all the things that are necessary for a facility. And there's some flexibility in that. I know that right now a lot of us are leaning towards sit inside kayaks, but we also have some folks that are sit on tops. So there's some flexibility in that. And the facility requirements, all the things that they need to be carrying on board. We'll cover that a little bit later on tonight. So continuing on, AUXPAD operators. We set an example for those that are on the water. The bit that's in the yellow, we can't teach while we're on the water, but there's no problem in suggesting, maybe you want to put your hands further apart, maybe you want to, get your hips more into it. I mean, there's nothing in helping them out and making their paddle a little bit easier, a little bit safer, things of that necessary. As you can see in the bullet item number 3, definitely cannot do a vessel safety check while we're on the water. But there's last year, we did a patrol on the Teddy Roosevelt Island, around the Teddy Roosevelt Island, and we bumped into a group that was part of the REI. And we were telling folks what we were doing out there. And so we paddled with them for a little bit, and it was kind of joining up with the group as a group of paddlers. So it was fantastic. All right, let's talk a little bit about the equipment, and we'll cover this more in detail. The Commandant's instruction, and that's why I tell you to have it so you can read it, become familiar with it. It gives guidance about, and most of the instructors, and you know about this, is that we dress for the water. We don't dress for the weather. That's bullet item number 2. We dress for the water and not the weather. So you dress for immersion. I forgot who it was that wrote the book, Roland, but someone called us, we're not paddlers, we're just in between swims, because it's not a matter of if, it's going to be when we fall into the water. On the right-hand side of the slide, those are our requirements, our guidelines for what we have to wear while we're on the water. Most of us do it while it's in the green area of that of that chart. But I think Sue's online. What did you say your water temperature was, Sue?
38 degrees. It's up from 37. It's getting
So
roasty.
where would we be on that box?
Home by the fire.
Yeah, exactly. Good answer. Good answer. It is better to be on shore wishing we were on the water rather than on the water and praying that we were back on shore. So I like that answer. Very good. All right, AUXPAD afloat operational parameters. We'll go in these in detail, but this is covered in the Commandant's instruction. The weather parameters, get the Commandant's instruction, read about them, recognize them, understand them. Visibility and where that's got to be. The winds, the knots, the winds, seas. I love this picture on the right-hand side. That is Roland McDevitt. And what's the story behind that, Roland?
I had a breakdown in situational awareness. I basically was out outside the harbor working on my role, and I was watching the weather. I knew it was going to be storming, and heard the storm, so I figured I had plenty of time to get back to my dock. I did not notice that there was a water spout following me back to the dock. And it was on the news, and so I got my GoPro out, and sure enough, I had a little video of that water spout following me back in.
Pretty interesting. I love the picture, and we use that in a lot of what I do in training, because talk about the weather, situational awareness, all those aspects. It's a great picture, and I appreciate you sharing it, Roland. The geographical limitations of what we're able to do while on patrol. Going out 1.5 nautical miles from the shore. We have to be accompanied by a boat, But those are things that you read about, learn about, and try to embrace from the Commandant's instruction. This is not me on the boat. I just want to let you know, that's just not me on there. But the fatigue limitations, maximum of 6 hours, that are allowed per day with paddlecraft. Mission restrictions. I love this slide about the mission restrictions, because it just doesn't have to be us out doing a paddle patrol out there. Roland is an ATON verifier. He goes out and he verifies and certifies and makes sure that the ATONs are where they're supposed to be. Sue, I believe she's paddled on a few of these regattas for swim events, which is fantastic. Last year, we were kind of a safety endpoints for a paddlecraft challenge that was in the Occoquan River, right outside the town of Occoquan. We've been invited again this year to be part of that safety perimeter. Safety perimeter. And instead of doing 3 miles last year, he wants to extend it to 7 miles. So I need a lot more folks to cover. Unfortunately, the paddlecraft challenge is on the same day we're doing AUXPAD Academy, June 4th and 5th. So we're trying to figure out how to fill that Mayor Porta's needs for that activity. Tell you, we just need more people, that's all. Moving forward, search and rescue in the Commandant's instruction. We are able to render aid in imminent distress. We can do that up to our level of training. And on the picture on the right, you can see that's what Roland's doing. He's helping out a AUXPAD operator do a assisted rescue. But I will let you know that there have already been a couple times where we've been on patrol and we've assisted folks. Real quick story. We were coming off of patrol, and we were 10 feet from the shore. We were there were 9 of us, and I kept counting because we ended up with 10. Well, the 10th person was just an individual that was paddling. He comes along shore with us. His feet buckle out from under him, and we literally had to carry him onto shore. It was shallow, and all he had to do was stand up, but he was paddling for a couple hours, and his feet just gave underway with him. I was, just flabbergasted that that was happening right in front of us, and so we just helped him up, assisted him, and brought him to shore, and advised him that maybe he should come out with folks that can assist him next time he's out on the water. So it was good that we were there, type of deal. Risk management, folks. If you're not aware of it, you have to have the TCT class under your belt, because we utilize the risk management assessment, the GAR 2.0 model, the PEACE model, basically. And we are also required to operate in tandem. We need at least 2 people in paddle crafts to go out there. You can do it with a Coast Guard, a boat, a paddle, personal watercraft. I don't know how flexible or realistic that's going to be, but it's possible for you to do it. So those are just some of the conditions about underneath the commandant's instruction.
Joey, when I was teaching the tour guides at Kitty Hawk Kites, I actually went through the risk management protocol that we use for boat crew.
Perfect.
And I thought it created some very good interaction, just getting them thinking about all the things that you need to think about when we're going on the water. And we had some significant wind and cold water that weekend. So, I think it's a great protocol that we should be kind of taking beyond our own patrols to talk with other paddlers about.
Joey, I also want to mention that our OIA will not allow us to go out with a powered vessel. He doesn't think that's safe if the vessel goes off on a case, because you have to be within visual sight of your partner. So you may want to check what the OIA wants you to do for your area.
Perfect, Sue. And that's exactly what we need to have, why this discussion's in place, because there are some nuances in each of the different stations, areas that we go through. So thank you very much for bringing that up. And that's why we invite this discussion. Very good. All right, let's keep going then.
Can I ask another quick question? First aid certification, like the American Red Cross thing, do we need to do that? Do you recommend we do that? Should we do it?
I would recommend it. It's not a requirement for AUXPAD. Here in Flotilla 1607, one of our members has gotten very committed to being a American Red Cross first aid instructor, and he's basically making it available very affordably for the flotilla, and the flotilla is actually providing some financial support for members that want to get first aid training. And I think that's a great model, whether it's boat crew or AUXPAD or whatever way we're on the water, it's something we should all have.
There's actually something, is it Red Cross or Knowles? I tried to sign up for it when the pandemic started. There's something called Wilderness First Aid, and it's the first aid, it's the CPR, AED, all that sort of stuff. Because in case of emergency, you're going to be the first person there and something to do. That's a 2-day course, I believe is what it is. It might be 3. But further on, if you're further into this and want to get more involved, there's what's called a WFR, a Wilderness First Responder, which goes for 5 days or 7 days. And so you can do more based on that. I like to get those things under my belt because you just never know, type of deal. So that's my 2 cents on it. All right. Let's move forward. So another thing that you can have is the PQX, and what it does basically is just put together what you have to do to be certified to be an AUXPAD operator. Roland put this together last year, and it makes it a lot easier to tick off the box, to just check what you have, make sure you've got everything in place. So as you see on the slides, that's the 3 parts to it. Appendix 1 are talking about the auxiliary competencies. Appendix 2 talks about the ACA competencies, and Appendix 3 is just the qualification letter that gets submitted up the chain of leadership and management. In red, those are the things that you as the AUXPAD operator once you get a copy of the PQS, that I'm gonna ask that you fill out or do, because it makes it easier on the AUXPAD qualifier. If you fill in all those things, all your name and EIN at the top of the form, and I'll go through that as we in the next following slides. So 1 through 4, I'm asking you to fill out, or at least be aware of what those dates and times are. And item number 3, you'll be able to see on the form that it does not have to be, for some of the PQS, it does not have to be the Academy instructor or the AUXPAD qualifier. And I'll talk about that in just a momento. And then 5, 6, and 7 are basically, it's going up the chain to leadership management to make sure that you have all the things on the form filled out. All right, let's go through them really quick. So it's a little small, a little hard to read, but this is I did the PQS for Roland last year. Upper right hand corner, you see that Roland filled it out for last year, and he put his name and numbers just so that I didn't have to look it up. It's all there in the red circle at top right. Pay attention to the yellow square in the middle. You want the most up-to-date form. Go to Roland's AUXPAD trainer Flotilla 1607 website, and you can download the PQS form from there. And I believe it's is that correct, Roland? Still 6/16/2021? I don't know if you have a 22. You actually have it.
I've got a revision that's,
Yep.
I think, February of this year.
There you go. That green box in the center, if you notice, this is what I was talking about. It does not have to be your AUXPAD operator for some of these things. And some of that I'll talk about, like the VHF radio. If you already have some of that for crew or somebody else that's communication qualified, they can sign off or initial on this. All right. Here's what I'm talking about. This Appendix 1. There again, the red circle at the top. That's you that's filling in that red circle. The red square in the upper right-hand corner. I'm asking you to fill out all those dates that you have taken, the core training, the TCT, surface operation workshop. I'm asking you to fill it out. And I'll be honest, I could still look at AUX data too and still check it out to make sure that those are correct. But once I eyeball that, then I will initial, and as you can see, the year 1 or the annual recertification, whatever I need to initial. Now, some of those, I may not be the one doing them for Part A, for Part B, or for Part C. Part C, you may have somebody else that's communication qualified to do the Part C, the operating a VHF radio in both of those locations. You may have somebody else say, yep, he's done the part about the AOMS, which is now AUX data too. So that doesn't necessarily mean that the AUXPAD operator has to sign off, but that you're someone that can speak of your qualifications has initials for that. All right,
Joey?
Yep.
One thing I would say on this is these competencies should all be recorded in AUX data.
Yep.
And if it's not there for some reason, we should be explaining that here in these notes and providing additional documentation.
Fantastic. That's what this discussion is all about there. This process is not set in stone. It's still evolving as we move along. And this makes it, your input makes it easier because, as you can see in the bottom green circle, that's where I put my John Hancock on there and validate that, yep, Joe Schmo's been through all of this and I'm signing off. So that's Appendix 1. Appendix 2 is on the left-hand side, on the slide, and there's two parts on the left-hand side, right-hand side. Left-hand side, we talk about the ACA competencies, all the strokes that are out there, the maneuvers, and that's something your AUXPAD qualifier will be able to look at. But Roland, help me out here. It may not be the AUXPAD qualifier. It could be
Right.
another ACA instructor.
Yes. So we've had, particularly for people, I've helped out a number of people that are outside of our district that are trying to get a program started, and they end up going to an ACA instructor, either locally or in Florida. And so an ACA instructor can fill all of this out, initial it, and that's just fine. You know, it's documented that they've met those qualification standards.
Cool. And that's goes on to the right-hand side as well. The rescues and safety, same thing. Wet exits, swim rescues, same thing that's mentioned there. All the technical knowledge, and we'll talk about that in just a momento. The other thing about this 5-mile trip, we're going to do a 5-mile trip on the AUXPAD Academy, but you may not make it there on that day for the Academy. There's nothing to say that we can do another 5-mile paddle some other time and account for you meeting that qualification. All right. At the very end of the ordeal, I can sign off on this. Roland can, Ron Price, and we send it up the ladder. Appendix 3 is where there again you filled in the yellow, in the red circle, your name, EIN, as well as in the red square or rectangle, your name, EIN, flotilla. I look at all that. I put my John Hancock up top. I sign it, and then I send it on to Roland for the first endorsement so that he can review and put his signature in the blue rectangle here. And then he will take it from there and send it on to the OTO. Any other comments on that, Roland?
I would just say that I think this has worked really well, and kind of what we did is when we put the PQS together, I met with the OTO and explained the program to him and try to make sure that I knew what he was looking for. And essentially what we're doing is building a trust so that he knows that I know what he's looking for, and that when he gets something from me, he knows that I've looked these things over. So what we're trying to do is to just make it easy on the OTO and, you know, not have them rejecting a bunch of stuff because we did it poorly.
It's a wonderful process because it provides repeatability. We're able to sustain this and just do this repetitively time after time, and it's consistent. So it's a beautiful form for working with this. Anybody have any questions or comments or concerns about this at this present time?
Hi, these forms will work in any district. Is that correct?
There can be some differences, I think, from district to district and things like the TCT training and things like that. I suspect they're going to be pretty similar, but you know, there may be some like with the COVID protocols and things like that. There may be some things that differ from district to district. But I think this framework is basically should work.
Okay,
anywhere.
so would it be best for us to go over this form with our OTO?
Absolutely. And I think, you know, I think if you're working with an OTO that hasn't done this before, I'm getting some feedback from somebody's mic. If you could mute if you're not, well, thank you. I think that process is really valuable. Just sitting down with the OTO and making sure that you're on the same page, you know, that they'll tell you if there's something that they're looking for that's not on here, and you could add that.
Okay, thank you.
So Kelly, when,
I have a question. This is Jeff Michael calling. I'm on the phone, so I don't show up on your screen. But some of those items on the PQS, like the VHF and all that, those of us who are already coxswains have obviously done those exact same things. So we can get them signed off by somebody else, or is it just, can we just have Roland look them up in AUXPAD too and sign them off?
If you're coxswain or boat crew and it's recorded in aux data, I just put that in the notes. I just say,
okay,
you know what?
Thank you.
That you've already satisfied that as part of your, assuming that you're current in
Yes.
those qualifications.
Thank you.
So,
the
Kelly?
ICS 700 and 200 and the 100 and 700 courses, are those just on the FEMA website? Are those the ones? Or is there some other way to access those?
Yeah,
Say
they're,
that again? Yeah.
so the ICS 100 and 700, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
those
Yeah.
are, I think those are required when you initially, for your initial qualification, when you come on board as an auxiliarist.
I thought that was
So they
just,
should be in there.
Yeah.
I thought that was just an introduction to risk management, but I'm not sure.
No, I think these are the,
The initial ones.
that's not, I don't think that's the risk management. This is like how to, the FEMA stuff, how
it's
interagency
yeah.
cooperation and things like that.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Those were the original ones. I did those. Okay, never mind.
Very good. All right.
So I wanted to mention, Kelly, when we first started up our on water, I obtained all these PQS forms from Roland, shot them to our OTO. He said, these are great. And that's what we use. So I think that process works fairly well. And he was very pleased with the forms, makes them easy. They were easy for him to follow.
Okay,
So he
great.
approved it.
Thanks, Sue.
Basically, what I tried to do here was the fellow in our flotilla who's doing the Red Cross training now, he used to be in charge of qualifying boat crew and coxswain for the North Carolina sector. And he did a great job of organizing all of this process for the boat program. And so I attempted to copy what he had done. So it's really building on his work.
Excellent. That's those are all wonderful discussion points, and forum has been going forward and working beautifully. As we've heard this discussion, we have more than just folks from D5 Southern District on this call. There's Sue's. I'm sorry, Sue. What district are you from? You're from
9 Eastern.
Yeah, so there's quite a coverage of folks that are on this call and are AUXPAD operators and qualifiers and interested in the AUXPAD. And this forum has worked beautifully because even within D5 South, there are some nuances because where we're at in the DC area, station Annapolis, there are additional requirements that we are required to have and meet that don't necessarily apply to the southern portion of D5 South where Rollins is. So there are some differences within the districts as we've had this discussion. So
So
cool.
we've had a little bit of chat here, and I'm not very good at answering in the chat format, but I'm just going to respond to a couple of things.
Yep.
Kelly noted that it's 4 years for the pedal sports facilitator certification, not 3. She also said it would be helpful if TCT training had pedal related scenarios. I think that's, I kind of feel like that in a number of areas. Pat Johnson's indicating that wilderness first aid training course is excellent. And many Boy Scouts of America troops offer it. Pat also noted that Heath Smith has just retired, and that's true. I'm going to have to, I don't think we've got a new OTO yet in the 5th Southern, and when we get one, I'm going to have to make a trip up there and make sure that that I understand what they're looking for and that they know something about the AUXPAD program. So I think
Very
that's the comments.
Sounds good. Very good. Thank you, sir. All right. So we talked about the PQS in the form. Now, if you're interested in making your kayak an operational facility, we're going to talk a little bit about the new facility. As you can see on the slide, this is a little bit about the process, setting up a vessel safety check with whoever's going to do the vessel exam on your craft. Steps 2 and 3, Ron and I were having some discussions about this as well. You can have the form 7012 A available for your vessel safety check, but you want to focus on form 7009. That's the one that makes your AUXPAD facility for use to the auxiliary. So that's the form that you want to focus on. So then after you fill out these forms, you can send them to me. All I'll do is quickly review them, and Ron, I assume I'll still send them to you at the moment for the time being. At some point, this has to be entered into AUX data, but there's still a certain bit of a question that's being established here or worked out here. So that's kind of where this is at the moment. And Roland, you want to talk a little?
So
Yeah.
basically, this process is really identical to a regular operational facility for a power boat. Uh, I think there are a lot of vessel examiners that are not very good at this. And, it gets into knowing how to use aux data and making sure we understand the process. We've got things spelled out pretty well on our webpage. So there's a step-by-step process that talks about how to go through this. It's not essential that I review it, but I would definitely encourage you to work with a vessel examiner that's done operational facility, knows that process. And more than anything, it's kind of just knowing how to do an OPFAC review and submit the paperwork. So I'm happy to do that. I'm happy to work with anybody, kind of walk you through it. We can actually, you could sit down at your computer or with your vessel examiner, and I can sit down on mine and I can walk them through it. Just make sure that sometimes it just gets down to the last step and they don't submit it, and they're wondering why nothing's happening, and they haven't submitted it. So it's, there's a lot of steps to it, but it's actually fairly fast once you know what you're doing.
I'm comfortable doing the form first before I sit down with in AUXPAD and doing it. And so looking at the forms, this is on the forms warehouse. This is where you pick them up and you can fill them out beforehand. The 7009, the facility for use is in the red box shown at the bottom. And these are the things that you just have to fill out on this one is the 7012. I go through that just, it was just a habit of mine doing it, but you don't have to fill this one out. It's the 7009 that you could go through and fill out. The parts in red that you see here, and I don't know if you covered this last week, Mike, but the parts in red that you got here for the facility for use, the operator or the owner should fill out the sections in red. And the first one up at the top just has all your owner information, your stuff about your facility, make, model, color, size. If you have a MMSI number on it, I love all the other stuff, the total fair market value. You just got to throw a number out there. Whether or not the rectangle on the bottom, the red rectangle, whether or not you want anybody else to be authorized to use your facility so they can have access to your facility.
So Joey, on that
Yep.
point, there's only 2 spots here. A lot of times people want to just let anybody use their facility that's available. And, people kind of scratching their heads how to indicate that. All you have to do is put a note together and email it in to the OTO saying that what your facility is and that the names and member numbers of the AUXPAD operators that you have authorized to use your OPFAC. So it's not complicated, but you do need to do that. And in my case, I've got quite a stable of OPFACs, and it's actually pretty easy, just sending a list in.
Gotcha. And the vessel examiner could take a look at the green stuff, the green rectangle or green box, and just go through the requirements, just like any other vessel exam. Sign off on the endorsement, and this is where then you do the song and dance on AUX data.
So one other comment is, for some reason, DIROX doesn't seem to send out these decals unless you ask for them. They seem to think that we have them in stock here in our flotilla, and we don't. So if it's the first year that you've had your boat accepted into the program as an OPFAC, you need to indicate that in the notes that you need a decal.
Thank you, Ron. It's been a couple of years since I've done some of these, so I appreciate that. And so on this slide, you can see that there's how-tos within the AUX data guides. Facility inspection, offer to use, how to enter and submit data in AUX data 2. What's a little confusing about that is that well, let's go on with the yellow square. Basically talks about the handshake between the owner who has to submit the request and the inspector who has to then receive the request. and submit it.
Yep.
So there's a dance that goes back and forth. And this, the green box that's down here, you can see, and that's why I say fill out the forms first. So you get all that stuff, and then you can focus on what the dance is and the multi-step process that involved. I think there's a couple important steps that what Rollins pointed out, and it gets easy after the first time. I know that I'm looking at the chat box now, and I'm going to read the question on the chat box because can Form 7009 be completed during one of the June trainings, if as time permits? And I say that because we should be able to. I'm actually meeting with Jason. I see Jason's online now. I'm meeting with him Friday to go over, and we're going to walk through this dance on Friday and see if we can do his boat beforehand. So if you can do it beforehand, that would be fantastic. And the only reason why I say that is because those 3 days are they're pretty packed. There's a lot of stuff that's going on for that. So if you can get your facility either done beforehand or sometime afterwards, that would be wonderful. But taking time out from the academy, that just takes time from everybody else that's involved with that process at that point. So hopefully that answers your question there, man. All right, so that talks about AUXPAD, and you have to go through the process, what is it, every year or every 18 months to get your facility recertified. So pay attention, because they'll send you a notification that you're coming up for an inspection due, and you have to go through that process again, making the request for an inspection, assign it to somebody to inspect it. They'll come in, type their information up. So there's a give and take about that process. This form on the screen, it's an ACA waiver. I'm not asking you, you're not required to join the ACA. If you are a current ACA member, you can fill out this form. They're going to want it because what I do as an ACA instructor, I'm actually going to put together an ACA class, and that's going to have students in there. And if you want credit, if you want to be certified as a complete the ACA level 1 and level 2, because they keep records of all this, you're going to fill out this waiver form because I'm required to submit it into the ACA at the end of the class. So that's where this you fill out all the stuff that's in the red box here and the red box down here. The bottom part, this is what you fill in, because I put in a class for that academy. If you're not an ACA member, this is you're not required to join the ACA. You'll be covered as far as waivers concerned under the it's a patrol order by the Coast Guard Auxiliary.
So Joey, I would, you're absolutely right about all of that. I would say that we are partners with ACA, and I think there's a lot of value in being a member. And as people develop skills, and maybe some of our members consider becoming instructors, ACA is the way you do that. And it's also a way you stay informed about what's happening in the paddling community. So I think it's a great idea to join ACA, but if we have people that don't want to, it's at this point it's not required. I think there's some discussion about requiring it down the road, but it's not required at this point.
Thank you, Roland. Appreciate your input on that. Bottom left-hand corner, if you're interested in joining the ACA, go to their website, $40 a year, and let me know your number there again, so I can just enter that in my class as we move forward. This slide just shows a little bit about what we're covering in the ACA levels, level 1s, level 2, the introduction to kayaking and the essentials of kayak touring. All right, what else do you need to have? The equipment. And there's a lot of lists out there. The Commandant's instruction has his list. 7009 has a list. 7012 has a list. And I've developed a list that I've handed out last year. And different districts may have their own additional requirements or optional items. The screen right here on the left is what I provided last year as my checklist to all the students within my academy. And the box in red talks about all the things that I categorize that are required for the paddler, some stuff that's required for navigation, for the paddlecraft, for case of emergencies, some of the patrol signs. So your mileage may vary. So you may have additional or not, or drop something off here. I think Roland has some additive items on this thing. The spreadsheet that's on the right, one of my students who was interested in doing the June 24th, 26th AUXPAD actually did a spreadsheet. And so she had me review it. I added my comments about what's required, what's not required, some URLs for where she could buy the equipment. And let me know if you're interested in getting that spreadsheet. I'm willing to share it with you. But let's talk about some of that equipment in detail. The slide right here for the paddler, the high visibility clothing. Roland, I think we were having a discussion earlier today about the long sleeve orange shirt that shows that you are a auxiliarist. You can see on this shirt right here, that has the auxiliary sign, logo, or imprint on it, logo on both sides. The high visibility clothing, the hat, that's not Coast Guard auxiliary. That's just my own personal hat. I like being seen. I don't like being run over. Someone that started off as a kayak fisherman, I wear bright clothing just when I'm going out fishing. So I love and appreciate the orange shirt. The PFDs, there's some examples. One of the individuals asked me, well, what's a PFD to get? Whatever is comfortable for you, because there are different kinds, different makers, different sizes. Try it on. Of course, the other stuff you need to have, the whistle, the PLB, it's optional. If you are crew, you already have a PLB. You can use that PLB. I bought my own. I used my personal PLB.
Also, I would, we're going to get a new OTO, but OTO Smith had committed to providing PLBs for anybody that is not already a boat crew or coxswains. So those should be available.
Excellent. No, thank you. Some of the things on the list, spray skirt, that's optional, sunscreen, lotion, drinking water, all those things. All right, moving on to the next one. Some of the other equipment that we talk about, navigation, having a compass on board, great thing to have. Charts, whether or not it's optional. I like having charts on my vessel because I like knowing where I'm at. The stickers on your paddles, just make sure you have them on your paddles or the spare paddle. The electronic GPS, might want to have that just in case. VHF with GPS, that's an option. And I'm going through this because some folks don't know what some of these things are. They don't have them, they don't use them. The paddlecraft float, folks don't know what that is. And basically, it's part of the self-rescue techniques that we talk about. The pump or baler that's involved with that. So these are things to have, things to be aware of, and we'll go over that during the academy. All right. Some of the additional equipment that we covered and you should consider or think about having, of course, your cell phone, tow equipment. There's a big discussion, and Roland, you could speak up about that. There's some opinions about whether or not we should tow and shouldn't tow. And some of that has to do with we are coastal kayaks as opposed to whitewater kayaks. Whitewater kayaks have a big concern about towing somebody in whitewater. A lot more worries about entanglement. And I will say, because of experience, during an AUXPAD Academy last year, I had to tow another operator for 2.5, 3 miles because they were not feeling well. I actually used my belt and towed them back. So that became very helpful. Some of the straps.
I agree with you, Joey. And I do think there's a big difference depending on whether it's coastal or moving water. But a lot of times you get into wind or somebody's not feeling well, and that's how you're going to get everybody back, is to give some help to the person that's not doing well. But I do think there's a issue with entanglement, and we need to be very thoughtful about that, to make sure that we know how to use it and that we avoid entanglement. And one of the big issues, I think, is it's not okay just to tie yourself up manually with a line. You have to have a quick release so that you can get out of that rig if necessary.
this little picture, the little red balls, that's in case anything goes wrong. I hate to say it, but I'm looking out for number one at that point, and I'm grabbing this red ball and I'm pulling it, and the whole belt just falls away, and I'm free to paddle at that point. That's a long 30-foot leash right here. This one's a shorter one. It's about 5 foot. All right. So, and cam straps. There are techniques to rescue yourself and others using cam straps. So those are some optional equipment or some equipment you should consider having. Visual distress signals. I carry this on my kayak. It's small enough and portable enough. I have this on my kayak. This is the OPFAC facility that's applied to your kayak to let folks know that you are a Coast Guard facility. We hang these when we're going on patrol. At least I've done that in the past. So that's something to consider and think about. All right, we talked about what you need to have. And I know that we're moving fast, but these are all just preparation for the academy. 7 things here. Having the commandant's instruction. Look it over, read it, become familiar with it. Start filling out your PQS, or at least looking it over, being familiar with it, knowing what you have to have. Consider making your kayak an operational facility. Request for its annual inspection. These are all the things you should be doing or preparing to do. And this is an optional one, joining the ACA, completing the waiver form. Begin looking at your equipment, what you have, what you don't have. Talk to the AUXPAD qualifiers and to them about getting your shirts beforehand. When Jason and I meet this Friday, I'm gonna give Jason his AUXPAD shirt so that he has it and he's ready to go with it. Next thing on the list, item number 7 is before the academy, you're going to be asked to give some presentations, because this isn't just a lecture only. You're going to be doing some presentations and talking about some of these things, and we'll be talking about them in a minute. You'll be covering some of the things that we should be concerned about, and we being everybody that's involved in your academy. You should probably start to know how to use AUX Data 2 and doing the patrol requests for the academy dates. For those 3 dates, you're going to be on patrol. So look into using AUX Data 2. Now, I talked about the 10-minute presentation. Part of your PQS is going to be all these topics that you see on the slide. For my academy, I'm going to be assigning one of these topics, or maybe a couple of these topics, to an individual. And you can see the dangers of kayaking. So I'm going to ask you to do an 8 to 10-minute presentation. What are some of the considerations to be considered during group management and situational awareness? What are some of the environmental issues? What are some of what's the difference between heat stroke and heat exhaustion? How do you recognize it? How do you treat it? What are some of the items that you should have in first aid? So right now you're looking at the slide. That's basically your homework. In my academy, I will give you a heads up as to which one you think you should be doing, but be ready to talk about any of these at a moment's notice, because this is what you're going to be having to encounter or discuss when you encounter another person in the water, so that you're fully aware of what these topics are and have some knowledge about them. We talked about what you need to have, what you need to do. This is what you need to know. You need to know a little bit about AUX Data 2. You need to know some paddling skills, some radio communication. Was it Rita that gave the presentation, or you gave a wonderful presentation? It's still on.
We talked about Sue and Sue's presentation,
Yeah.
the comms.
Yeah.
Oh, on comms. Yeah, we did one
That
on
was-
comms.
And
Yeah,
it was
we've been-
fantastic. It's on the website, the 1607 AUXPAD website. It is a great 2 hours of how to do comms. So if you get a chance, listen to that. And because you're going to need to know how to communicate with the station, starting the patrol, during the patrol, ending the patrol, and if you come upon anything. You're going to need to know how to use your radio. I have how to enter a GPS here, but that's an optional item, how to enter a GPS. But your radio may have scanning, how to do different types of scanning. But you're also going to need to know some phonetic alphabet, the pro words, some basic navigation, and to do the TCT risk versus gain analysis. So patrol, AUXPAD 2. There is a couple of places that you can look how to enter in and print these out to do requests, patrol requests, and how to do your orders, how to complete them and do them. As you can see in the bottom right hand red, I'm considering doing a future training on this. I've done it once for my flotilla and folks in my academy. I think I did it last year as we were going through this. But I can offer something like that again, and Roland and I are talking about it, whether we should, shouldn't, and how to put it together. But if folks are interested in something like that, let me know, let Roland know, and just keep moving forward.
Yeah, Joey, Sky Campbell.
Yes, yes,
This one thing to bring up as we're talking about far in advance, if you're if you're going to training outside your sector, it probably won't work, and you got to do it way in advance because your ARC state is not set up if you're going to training outside your sector.
Yeah, I've been dealing with that.
Primarily, two sectors, National Capital Region and North Carolina, I think most of the people. If we could find out who is the point of contact in those two sectors, because I remember you had to find it for whoever was down in North Carolina to eventually get me listed down there, get added. So because there's going to be several people, I think it's going to have the same problem.
Yeah, why don't I'd say if you're coming to North Carolina, contact me and I'll sort it out. If you're going north, talk to Joey or Ron Price, and they'll sort it out. But
Yeah, there's someone
that's
at
a good
district
point.
level, I think, has to approve it.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all.
no, thank you, Guy. We will work that out. I think you and I have I've had the luxury of going to all three academies, and so far I haven't had that problem. I think it's because Rollins been able to guide me through that process. But it is a concern for folks that are just, don't wait till the last minute. You need to do this ahead of time. All right.
So the other issue, are there, when you first go to the AUXPAD Academy, you're not going to be an AUXPAD operator, so you're not going to be able to be listed and get patrol orders. But you can be entered as a trainee, and essentially the system will treat you as crew on somebody else's OPFAC. So there are ways of handling that, but those are some of the things that Joey and I deal with as we lead these training sessions.
And what we're going through here tonight is just the glossing over of all the things that you'll probably meet up against. So we'll deal with it, handle it, and adapt. But just want to give you an awareness. So very good.
Yeah, the last thing I want to say, Joey, on that was as we get closer, maybe each one of the three classes does send out a sample, because not everybody knows the name of the operating area the local issuing authority calls it. That goes into the order, those blocks.
Gotcha. No,
AOR 3 is, they won't know what to click on.
gotcha.
Yeah.
Understood.
So if each
And,
academy sent out its own sample order, so people know how to fill out.
Gotcha. And you and I can talk offline, Guy, because you and I have been to all three, so we should have some orders that reflect those. So definitely let me know, and we can put something together as a cheat sheet for all of those involved.
Yeah. Okay.
Cool. Thank you, Guy. Appreciate you putting you're bringing those forward. All right, let's keep going. I know I'm running out of time here. This basically, you're going to need to know some paddling skills, and I'll mention that Rollins' website has a lot of good, helpful videos out there. Look them over, understand them, review them. Give it some time to look over and view, and just take some time to look those over. All right. Going forward, backwards, turning. Communications. you're going to need to know how to use a radio. So VHF radio communications, as we said, Sue has a excellent 2-hour course that's on Rollins' website. It's how to call a station, reporting the status, speaking properly, understanding what's being said to you, how to spell a word, all these things. And folks that are coxswain and crew are probably they are familiar with how to do this already. For me, it's just going into auxiliary paddle craft. I had no idea. So I will mention that I've already talked to an individual within my flotilla who's willing to do another class. And so that's possibly some future training that's coming up. But give Sue's video a chance, look it over. I've done it a couple times. I love it, and it is a great class. You want to address some of the questions that are up in the chat box there, Roland, real quick, or?
Oh, let me pull that up here.
All right.
Uh,
The first one is about the radio to purchase. I'm a standard Horizon kind of guy. I think the HX 870 is outdated now, and the 890 is out there. I forgot who it was, but the standard Horizons is what I utilize. You have any other suggestions there, Roland?
I totally agree with you. I've had really good luck with standard Horizon. Some of the others have not held up to the water. And the model that you've mentioned, the 790, I think is, it's got integrated GPS and digital selective calling. It's floats, it's got everything. And it's, I know at least one person that got it for like $180, which is a pretty good value. And also I think that the range on it is better than some of the cheaper ones.
Exactly. And let me tell you, that digital selective calling works. We had an episode last year where there's a little microphone that plugs in the top. The individual wasn't using the microphone. He went in the water, it short circuited, it sent off DSC, and it was being called. It was just being called. So that works. Someone typed in the chat box Horizon 790. And I don't know if that one's still valid. There might be another one out there, like 890 or something, but standard Horizon, if you could. Glenn Baxter's asking about for the Academy, do we go as trainee or operator? Roland, do you want to speak to that?
So if you're currently an AUXPAD operator, you can go as an operator. If the only way you can get on the water is as a trainee, we'll put you on as crew and deal with it that way.
Excellent. Let's keep going. All right, we talked about what you need to know. Oh, there again, your VHF.
Hey folks, this is Jeff Michael on the phone again.
Yes,
just thought I'd mention, since you were talking about radios, I have a Cobra radio, and it's very nice. It's got all those features. It's got excellent range. It's got a rechargeable battery, and it comes with a battery pack that allows you to put AA's into it. So even if you were to wear down your rechargeable pack, you could always swap it out quickly. A nice thing about it is that it also has Bluetooth, so you can connect it to your phone, and you can literally answer your phone without taking it out of its waterproof case with the radio. So that's something to look for too if you're interested.
So one of the and I really don't know how the different models compare, but keep in mind that we're going to be getting wet. So there's a lot more exposure to salt water here, I'd say, than you typically get with just being on a boat. So that's another aspect of this.
the last thing I want to point out is that the repeatability factor. And what I mean by that is if someone else has to use your equipment, I recommend or can think about how folks should be familiar with everybody else's equipment. So there's some similarity involved with that. So that's just something to keep in mind, something that, because if for whatever reason you need to give it off to somebody else or sign off, hopefully the functions are all still the same and match up to what we've been trained with. So just some other things to know. with your radio, what are the components for it? How do you adjust it? How do you change channels? What do you know how to do scanning or entering a waypoint? Get familiar with your radio. You'd be surprised how many people get out there and just don't have an idea how to operate it. So please take a look at that. Navigation. Need to know some basic navigation. I will admit, in my world, in Potomac River, there's only so far left and right, up and down that you can go. So, you paddle left, you're going to hit a shore. You paddle right, you're going to hit a shore. I mean, that's so. But basic navigation is a good thing to have. Knowing the difference between charts and maps and all that other stuff, the ATONs, all the things you see on the left-hand side. There again, on Rollins' website, Paula Hubbard gave a hour and a half long navigation class, which is fantastic. I'm trying to put together a navigation class, and I'm going to say this right here. I'll utilizing what Paula has on her home site, because she offers that on her home site, and you can watch the slides. And I'm willing to go through those slides with folks. And I'm thinking about, okay, we can use that and talk about it, because she covers things from a kayaker's perspective. She talks about, entering a course, but recognizing that your kayak's going to be going like this. So you're not going to be sitting on that course. You're going to be going this way, and that way you're going to be swinging. So recognizing that and being fully aware that you're not going to be able to keep that course that's plotted. So think about that. I'm gonna put something together, offer that to folks, and for anybody that who can tell me what that last bullet stands for. They don't have to take the course at all, because they're going to be teaching the course. Does anybody recognize what that last line stands for?
It's I think is it for fixing the deviation on your compass? Is that?
Try again.
No.
Anybody else have a guess?
I don't know.
3, 2, 1. That gives you the hierarchy of the rules of the road. This is a mnemonic to remember.
Okay.
New reels catch fish, so purchase some. Rules of the road hierarchy. The N is for not under command. The R is for restricted in her ability to maneuver. The C is constrained by her draft. F, fish, is for fishing vessels. The SO is for sailing vessels. Purchase is for power boats, and then some are for seaplanes. So new reels catch fish give the hierarchy of the navigation rules. And as Paula Hubbard would say, notice that there's no K on there. So kayaks really don't have a part of the rules of the road. So
Well, there is the
Yes.
rule of gross tonnage.
exactly.
And we know where we fit on that one.
Exactly. Very good, folks. All right, so I'll see you everyone at the navigation class. This in front of you right now is the GAR 2.0 risk assessment. It actually embraces the peace. Is there anybody out there who can tell me what the acronym PEACE stands for? Giving you 3 count, 2 count, 1 count. Okay. Peace. We talk about the planning. Is there enough time to do what our mission entails? The E is for the event. What's the mission complexity that has to take place? The A is for asset. Do we have the right crew, the proper number of and skill set that's going to do the mission? Let's talk about another asset is your boat. Is the boat the right type of vessel to have for this? The C is for the communication and supervision. Are we making the proper communication and supervision for this mission? And the E is for the environment. So that's what PEACE stands for. I'm looking at the clock. I noticed that we're over time, so I'll try to talk fast here, folks. What you see on the slide is day 1 as an example of the agenda that I did last year, that Roland and I co-led on for the academy that we did in Northern Virginia. As you can see in the blue, this is Friday. This is what we did in day 1. The meet time. Understand that meet time there. And when we tell you to meet there, basically we're telling you to meet there and be prepared to launch, not to get there at 8:30, but by 8:30, if I say we're going on the water, be ready to get on the water. I happen to break it down just because what you see in the blue here, because for this class, I knew that at that time, I'm going to talk a little bit about what we're going to cover and what we're going to do for that morning and afternoon. But please understand that if you go on a patrol or anything for a kayaking, when somebody tells you to meet them at 9 o'clock, they're telling you that they are going to be ready to launch at 9 o'clock. Whatever time you need to get there to prepare for that, 9 o'clock is the launch time. So looking at the schedule in the morning, if you notice in the green on shore, we are going to be talking about some equipment, and we are going to be talking about some dangers of kayaking. And if you notice, these are some of the students, the trainees. Mike Andrews was going to give a 8 to 10 minute talk. Charlie Chapin was going to give a 8 to 10 minute talk of dangers. Then we'll cover some of the lifting and carrying and some about the CPR. CPR does not stand for compressions. It does cardiopulmonary resuscitation. CPR is a kayaking term for catch, propulsion, and release. So that's something that we'll be talking about. We'll be talking about the risk management, and then we're going to jump in the water and cover all these skill sets that you see here. We'll take a little lunch break around noon. Then we'll do some more things in the afternoon, talking about some of the lectures I talked about. Your homework. This is your homework that you're going to be doing. Trip planning. What are the aspects to learn about that? Some group management. We'll do some training and demonstrations on land. Then on Friday afternoon, we're going to get wet. We're going to talk about the wet. We're going to do the wet exit. We're going to do about some of the self-rescues. And the reason why we do those in the afternoons is so that you don't have to hang around while you're wet. After we're done with all these, we are finished and you are gone for the day, right? So that's day one. Day two is we cover the 5 mile paddle. For those folks that are familiar with Washington, D.C., on the right-hand side, we go out of this little lagoon that is right next to this building. You may have heard about it. It's called the Pentagon. Right next to the Pentagon, there's a little lagoon that we go out of, Columbia Island. We go up the Potomac River, and you'll notice on this chart that we go up the Potomac River. If the tide was high, we would go up this back channel, but unfortunately this year we're not going to be able to do that. Anyhow, we go up the Potomac River, we go around Teddy Roosevelt Island, we go around Georgetown Harbor, we go around the cherry blossoms, come back down and do a patrol. And the whole time, we are 30-minute comms with Station Washington. And while we're doing that, we are interacting with the public. We're talking to them, telling them what we're doing. We are reminding them to keep out of the channel. We're telling them to please put on your jacket. And we're doing a little bit of training during this whole time on shore. We're going to talk about some navigation. We're going to talk about some comms. We're going to talk about trip management. Who's the lead? Who's the guard? We're going to talk about the risk assessment and radio. We will cover on the first half in the morning, your stern rudders, your low brace. And we're going to be doing this as we travel the waters. We're going to be having lunch on Teddy Roosevelt Island, and we'll use their facilities. We'll eat lunch there, have some training on there, and then continue on our patrol. After lunch, we'll be doing some more. We'll do some rescues. We'll be doing some tows. And then afterwards, once we're back on Columbia Island, we'll cover a couple other lectures and we'll call it a day. Finish up around 4 p.m. So that's day two. Day three, on Sunday, it's a shorter day. We meet in the morning, we have a couple of lectures, we talk about some other things, risk assessments, radio guards, and these are all examples. We talk about all the strokes that we've covered throughout the 2 days. We set aside a figure 8 course. You're going to go forward. You're going to pivot 360 using your sweeps. You're going to go sideways. You're going to go backwards. You're going to pivot 180 degrees, and then you're going to show me your low brace turn. And during that time, those puts everything that we learned during your paddling course for those days, and that's a good chance to go through everything and make sure that you've got it down fine. Once we get back on shore, we have a couple other lectures. We review the paperwork. 1 o'clock, someone treats me to lunch at, oh, I'm sorry, did I say that? We have lunch at the Brickmakers Cafe. That is your day 3. I'm done. Is there any other questions that we need to cover with this? Or do we want to cover what's in the chat box, Roland?
I'm looking at the chat box. I don't think we've got new questions. Or maybe I need to scroll. No, we do have questions.
Yes, sir.
Let me see. Let me see. Can you give us the URL for Paula Hubbard's navigation course? So you can find the materials that are on our website by going to the district website and looking for the link to AUXPAD. Or you can Google OBX flotilla to find our flotilla directly. And there's a link in there's a menu item on our left side of our website that shows AUXPAD training resources. And that's got Paula's course. Great job, Joey, from Kathy.
Roland, my
Yeah.
question was still on there that you
Sorry.
skipped over. I was just wondering, are all of these classes full, or can other auxiliaries come and join?
I think we have openings, and certainly in the one that's down here and in North Carolina, and I think we have in the other sessions as well.
Okay, and if our flotilla, allows us to go down for the training, when would we have to let you know by?
If we could, like a month before, that would be very helpful. I've made arrangements to rent a couple of houses so that where people can have their own room. So it's $300 for a 3-night stay, but it's right here in the harbor, real close by. So there's no traveling. So that would be helpful for me, just so I can confirm those rentals.
Okay, there would be 2 of us. And I will let you know as soon as possible. Thank you.
Okay, great. Any other comments or questions? Well, this was a lot of territory to cover. Thank you, Joey. It's kind of like the program. I think it's a little bit daunting just how much how much there is to try to cover, but I do think you get a lot out of going to AUXPAD Academy, and it is a great time. It's a great chance to meet other people that are passionate about kayaking. And one of the things about Joey's session last year that was so exciting was he had some new members that were just learning it for the first time, and that was really, really fun, just to expose some new people to it. And I think a lot of us kind of have our own passions, and we're kind of out there on our own, and this is a chance to come together with other people that are interested in some of the same things. So I think that was great, Joey. I really appreciate it, and appreciate everybody else for being a part of this. If there are no other comments, we'll call it an evening. Thank you.
Thanks to both of you. It's a good presentation. Nice to see you, Joey.
Hey, good seeing you.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you very much, folks. See you
Thank
on the
you.
water.
Joey and Roland,
Yes.
this is Kelly Rudolph again. I'm in Ninth Central, and just Joey, I think you and I have talked maybe one time before, but I'm trying to get AUXPAD started. Myself and Pat Groves will be the AUXPAD qualifiers once we upgrade to level 2 instructors, which we're doing a mentorship now to work on. But if I could be included in any of your trainings, virtual or, possibly in person too, that would be wonderful.
So one thing I should have mentioned is, I don't know if Kathy's still on, but we're putting together an AUXPAD interest group. It's a Facebook closed group. So it's for people that are AUXPAD operators and interested in AUXPAD. And so pretty much all of our communications are going to be there. and also on our website, when we put out these training announcements and things like that, those resources are kind of collected in that site. So,
Oh, yeah, I would
we-
love to. I can send you a link to my Facebook account.
and also I don't know if you got the email where I announced tonight, but I've got an interest group email list too. So I've got about 100 people on that list, but I'll make sure you're on that list.
Thank you so much.
Okay. So it's Kelly and Pat Groves, right?
Yes,
Okay. I'll make sure you're on that list.
thank you very much.
Okay.
Bye.
Okay. Thank you. Good night, Joey.
Good night,
Bye,
all.
Glenn.
See you.
Okay.
Great job, Roland.
No, thank you. That's a lot to cover. And let's figure out how we want to do those Zoom sessions. We'll
Sorry, I do have one more question. Because you guys did go over a lot of stuff that I was not thinking would be in the AUXPAD classes. So when I'm thinking AUXPAD classes, like we've just been training people in level 1 skills. Do you believe that your program is going to be the standard for training auxiliaries for AUXPAD?
could you repeat that?
Okay.
Make sure
So you went over, when I think of AUXPAD, I think of, just doing level 2 skills for ACA level 2 skills.
Mhm.
And that's what we've been teaching so far, just level 1, since that's the level of instructor we are. But we haven't been going over the things that I see you guys going over. Is your
we
program
do.
going to be a standard?
So what I would say is that you have to find some way to address all the stuff that's in our Appendix 1 of the PQS. So Appendix 2 is all the ACA competencies, but Appendix 1 is, it's how to use the radio and navigation and a lot of the stuff that's common with boat crew and with coxswains. So probably half the time, people already come in with that. So it is primarily the ACA stuff that they're learning. But there are a lot of people that don't have that too. So one way or another, whether they pick it up in that 3 days or whether they pick it up someplace else, they need to find a way to get signed off on those other competencies. And I do think it's good to do it all on the water from the kayak. The communications. I think the navigation's different. When you're in a kayak than it is on a power boat. So I think those things are all kind of. I think it's good to integrate it. To put it all together in the 3-day session.
I do too. I think it's a great idea. So those are things that I'm lacking in. I came into the auxiliary just as a paddler. So the auxiliary portion is what I've fallen behind on because I've been focusing so much on getting those level 2 instructor skills.
Yeah.
So
it might be useful, to really get those auxiliary skills down to work with a mentor in your flotilla, just to to work on navigation and communications and TCT, all that stuff, that everybody covers as part of the boat program.
okay. And also I noticed that because you were dedicating a lot of the time to the auxiliary portion, how do you make sure that you get enough time to cover the skills that are necessary for them to be level
So-
2
So my
cer-
philosophy about that is that I never want to be on the water for more than 2 hours at a time. And so when we're doing training, we do basically 2 hours in the morning and 2 hours in the afternoon. And if you're in the water for 2 hours, that's really a lot of time, you know. I mean, especially if it's a little bit cold. So that gives you quite a bit of other time when you're on shore that you can be talking about some of these other things. So
But
before you go in, lunch, at lunch people are giving presentations and they're short, but part of it is just getting everybody kind of owning, some aspect of the program, so that they're not just there passively listening to this stuff, but they're going to be giving a presentation on cold water shock or communications or whatever it is. And I really like that concept, and it's hard to cover every topic, and you may not get through every topic, but I think it's useful to try to use a lot of that shore time for a variety of topics that you don't get to on the water.
my question is about the skills. How do you cover all of the skills necessary? I mean, for us, we do a level 1 class, and to get through everything, I mean, we're looking at 12-hour days on the water. And to do a level 2 class, I mean, that's multiple days of like 12-hour days on the water. How do you cover all the skills in such a short period of time? Or are you not covering all the skills?
I would say, we're not teaching people to be instructors here. We're teaching people to have some functional skills. So, they may not be demonstration quality on their sculling draw, but we are gonna teach that skill, and they're gonna be doing a successful draw. I think from my perspective, some of the things that are really challenging for some people are the rescues, the self-rescue and the assisted rescue. Some people have physical challenges with that, and some people I think have mental challenges with it. But I don't expect people to be like instructor quality in their demonstration of their skills. I expect them to have, to be able to do the 5-mile paddle, to be able to do the figure 8 course, and to go home and get better at it after their, and that's my philosophy about a lot of things, not just AUXPAD, but, I want to get people into the program and get them, get them started on a path to getting better.
It's my biggest problem is the fact that if they have to be level 2 skills certified, how do you do the skills class and the assessment all in the same time period? Like we travel to go and teach. I mean, we've traveled to Lake Charlevoix, which is about 4.5, 5 hours from us.
Mhm.
So, we're only there for a day or two. But then trying to get people that may not be good paddlers to learn the skills and then be able to demonstrate them enough with a proficiency and do an assessment, I think that's so difficult to be able to fit it all in.
Well, basically, we're teaching the first 2 days, and Sunday morning, the third day, is a half day, and we're basically looking for people to. That's the assessment. So we're asking people to demonstrate the strokes and maneuvers, the assisted rescue and the self-rescue. And, not everybody's going to pass. But, I think, part of the challenge is getting the right people to class in the first place, so that, you don't have a mismatch on your expectations about what they're being expected to do when they get there.
Okay. And I think it would be beneficial for Pat and I to see exactly what, what the standard is for pass fail of the classes. Maybe, I mean, we might be holding people to too high of a standard, because I know that we've talked about it before. My instructor holds us to a very, very high standard.
Well, I think there's a very different standard for being an instructor. And that's what you're being held to, is that instructor standard versus
he
certifying
holds-
somebody's level 2 skills.
He holds the skills to the same standard, basically. I mean, people that have come in that I thought were, before I took the class with him, I would have thought they were at a level 2, didn't even pass a level 1. And that was just the skills assessment. So it may be that he's holding them to a higher standard than what's necessary for AUXPAD.
Yeah, I can't speak to that. I mean, but
You see where my
we're not trying to wash people out here. We're trying to get people on a path to continuous improvement is what I would say. And I think there's no question about whether they have to do the self-rescue or the assisted rescue. I mean, and the other skills, 5-mile paddle, the maneuvering. I mean, but it's not a requirement that they look pretty while they're doing it.
Okay.
That's not part of our standard.
Okay. And, it may just be a difference of, what I'm perceiving as necessity versus what is actual necessity. And I don't want to tire people out or make them think that this is so difficult that they're not capable of it. I want to be able to, train people to the extent where they're physically capable of doing what's necessary.
Yeah.
And not push them to pure exhaustion.
I mean, I think the best thing you can do is to show people the ACA course description, for the level 2 coastal kayaking, essentials of kayak touring, I think is what it is. And, what the prerequisites are and what the expectations are. And, if people are honest with themselves, I think they can sort themselves out pretty well. And you should talk to them too, ask them pointed questions, when people are applying for, for participation in the academy. Like how far have you paddled? What kind of kayak do you paddle? What kind of conditions do you go in? What are you comfortable? Have you ever done self-rescue? Those kinds of things.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much. I don't want to keep you on all night, but just wanted to cover those few questions.
Okay.
Thanks
Okay.
again. Bye.
Okay, then. Good night.
Hey, Roland.
Yeah.
Jeff here still.
Hey, Jeff.
On the phone. Wanted to ask a couple of quick questions for you. I do intend to make it up there. How many nights is the house rental thing? Is it 2 nights or 3 nights?
It's 3 nights. And basically, we start
3
off
days.
on, so it's Friday, Saturday, and Sunday and people arrive on Thursday evening.
Okay, I got you. Okay.
And then we try to let people get on the road around noon on Sunday. So
And
Sunday,
you launch in that that area that's in where you live, like near that clubhouse, I think it is. Is that right?
yeah. So basically, we have reserved the pavilion there for 3 days. There's bathroom facilities there. There's a parking lot there. People can launch there if they need to, but for the most part, people are going to be staying right here in the harbor, can launch from where they're staying, or can,
Okay.
I think, I'm not sure if I'm not sure, I'm not sure if one of the houses is right on the water, but basically everything is right here in the harbor. And
Okay.
we try to not spend a lot of time driving around. You know, we did last year, we did drive across Kitty Hawk Bay and launch on the other side so that we could not go out and come back to the same location. You know, it just kind of made a more interesting paddle.
Oh, okay.
And it also got us launching in a public area that kind of creates a different set of challenges than launching here in the harbor.
So I have 2 kayaks that are already operational OpFax, and I have the stickers. That's, you know, you might remember we went through that last year. So that's
Okay.
those are ready to go. I do intend to come up there for this one in June, and I'd like for you. I sent you an email too during the call because I'm on the phone. I can't see what you're talking about, the documents, but I kind of know. You know, I was able to follow pretty well. So maybe you could send me a PDF of that document. That would be nice, so I can kind of review it.
Of the
But
presentation
I've got the
tonight?
PQS from last year that you filled out, so I'm pretty familiar with that.
Okay.
Most of it has been completed.
So Jeff, are you looking for a room in one of our houses?
I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up there a little bit early. I think I'm going to sail up there.
Okay.
I haven't done a trip on my boat for a while, and I've been working on it over the winter, so I kind of wouldn't mind doing a trip on it. So I think I'm going to come up there, and I'll just anchor somewhere, or if I can get in the harbor and stay at a dock, that would be okay too. Either way.
Okay. I'm not sure, there is a dock there, and I'm not sure what the rules are. But the Collington
Okay.
Harbor Association, you know, you can contact them and ask them, like, if you can, you know, tell them that you're going to be visiting for 3 days, and you know,
Okay.
what kind of arrangements can you make? I think you can get like a short-term rental, but they don't
Okay.
want people living there.
Oh,
And there was
oh,
one guy that
I
was,
short term. Okay.
there was one guy trying to do an Airbnb operation
On his
out of
boat?
the, yeah, and
At his
they were
boat?
not
Oh,
happy.
gosh.
They were not happy about that.
Well, I just assume, to be perfectly honest with you, I just assume anchor out. That's what I prefer to do when I'm traveling. So anyway,
Is there a
I-
campground located there?
There is a
What?
campground. There's Joe and Kay's, I think, is the name of one that's right, not too far away. And that's on the island.
Okay, that might, maybe Pat and I can come down a couple days. You know, watch you guys and the way you do things, and just maybe paddle together for a little bit.
So if you do an overland trip like you were talking about, if you do that again this year, I would probably need to have someone maybe have an extra spot on top of their car or in the back of their pickup truck.
Yeah, we could
To
probably
carry.
sort that out.
Yeah.
We'd figure a way to do that.
Because getting out through an inlet, the boat is not going to be
Yeah.
a possibility. So yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah, there's, I'm still thinking about that. You know, there's some value in staying close so that we're not schlepping around. And there's also value in getting out to some other locations, I think, like Oregon Inlet, where they have a lot of boat traffic, and
Right.
you'd be navigating a little different environment, you know. So I haven't really decided that yet.
By the way, I presume you got OpFax sticks on your boat, right?
Yeah, I have OpFax stickers on my boats.
Are your boats rotomolded plastic? Or are they fiberglass?
They're fiberglass.
Okay. I'm just wondering how well they stick, because I haven't put them on yet. And I'll probably put them on before I come up there, but I'm just kind of curious how well.
So there was a guy on,
No.
I overheard a conversation yesterday. There's apparently a 3M product that seals the edges around stickers. I can't,
Oh,
but it's supposed to make it really good for stickers to stay on.
I'm looking
Okay.
up the name of it right now, Roland.
Yeah, I think Kelly was on that call too.
Yeah, it is 3M Edge Sealer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'll have to get some of that then.
And
So
I guess it works well on the if found stickers and on the paddle reflective stickers too.
Yeah.
By the way, for those if found stickers, I found a great solution for them. You know, they make 3M makes these laminating pouches, these laminating things, and if you put and I put mine in one of them things and laminated it after I wrote my name and all that jazz on it, and then I made it a little oversized so I could drill some holes through it or burn them through with a soldering iron, and then zip tie them to the inside of your
Okay.
kayak, wherever you. That worked out real well because they don't fade, they don't peel.
Yeah. I've been pretty happy with how they stick to my fiberglass, but
Yeah,
sometimes
the fiberglass.
sometimes the writing doesn't stay on forever.
I've got, one of mine, the one that I keep on my boat, the writing is completely obliterated. The sticker's there, and it's even faded in the sun because it was put on a few years ago. Completely illegible. So for me, the option of laminating and zip tying them to the inside works well. That pretty much keeps them out of trouble. All right.
Okay.
That sounds
Well,
good. All right. Do you get out around your harbor much? And see with a depth sounder?
I'm pretty familiar. It's the harbor's got good depth.
It does. The
Yeah,
harbor
if you're
does. What about the approach to it?
You're okay in when you come in, you want to stay to the right side. It's deeper on the right side.
Okay.
How much draft do you have?
I draw 5'8".
Yeah, that's pretty
And
deep.
it looks from the charts. I intend to come on the inside. I'm not going through the inlet. I don't go in or out. It's through a deep water inlet we run on this area. So I'll come up, I guess, with Pamlico Sound there. And smell some charts.
Yeah, and how tall is your boat?
I'm about 45 feet, so I can't get under that the west bridge, but it looks like the eastern bridge that has that channel. That looks pretty good.
Yeah, so you want to come up. You're right. Come up the east side, and you could anchor offshore.
Okay, yeah, that'd be perfect.
Okay.
And I'll bring a crab trap with me so I can maybe have some crabs for dinner.
Okay. Well, I'm going to let everybody go here. Thank you, Joey. That was terrific. Appreciate
Thank you,
it.
Roland.
And Roland, can you send me the whatever PDF document that you showed us tonight?
So Joey's, you're talking about Joey's presentation?
Joey's presentation, yes. But I didn't get to see any of it, so it might be on there.
Okay, we can. I think we can do that.
Okay, I appreciate that. That'd be great.
Okay.
All right, thanks. Have a good day.
Okay. Good night. Hey, Joey.
Yes, sir.
Can you send? Were there changes in the document from the time I saw it, or was it the same document?
I think it's the same document.
Okay. So okay with me sharing that PDF?
Sure. Yeah, if you want to burn it to a PDF and share that's fine. That works.
Okay.
Thank you for putting this together.
Oh, thank you. Okay, so I will do that. I'll send Jeff the PDF, and Kelly and Pat get them on the email list. Okay.
And
Thank you.
Wednesday we'll talk some more about future classes. I presume.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah. I mean, it kind of, I think how much content we had tonight sort of suggests the need for some more time, on some
Okay.
of this stuff. I think so. Okay. Good
Thank
night,
you.
Joey.
Good night.
Goodbye.